The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the World Properties tab and I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to click this little button here next to Color, and I'm going to select Sky Texture. Make sure you're in the Nishita Sky Texture preset. The next thing I'm going to do is under Strength, I'm going to set the strength to 0.1, and I'm just going to decrease the elevation of the sun. Yeah, that's fine, that's perfect. And very quickly, make sure you are using Cycles or using the Cycles render engine. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the clouds. To do that, I'm going to create a plane. So I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh, select the plane. I'm going to move the plane above my scene here, which is just a bunch of trees and a road. And I'm going to press S for scale, and I'm going to increase the plane so that it just covers all the trees. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so now I want to apply the scale. So I'm going to make sure my plane is selected. I'm going to press Ctrl A and I'm going to select Apply Scale. And I'm going to come over to the Solidify Modifier. Come over to Modifier, sorry. Select Add Modifier. Select the Solidifier Modifier. And I'm going to set the thickness to 3. And I'm going to check even thickness. Perfect. I'm just going to move this up just a tiny bit more. Okay, now it's time to create the material. So in your shader editor, if you want to get the shader editor up, come here, click this button and select shader editor. I'm going to create a new material. So I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to delete the principled BSDF by just selecting it and pressing X. Now what I want to do is I want to bring up the volume scatter node. So press Shift A, press S for search, type in volume, and select the volume scatter node. Plug the volume of the volume scatter node into the volume of the material output, like so. Move this to the side. Next, I want to add a color ramp. So Shift A, S for search, color ramp, and plug the color of the color ramp into the color of the volume scatter. And next, I want to add a noise texture node. So I'm going to select noise texture, plug the factor of the noise texture into the factor of the color ramp. And lastly, making sure you have node wrangler enabled, I'm going to select the noise texture and press Ctrl T to bring up the mapping and coordinate nodes. Perfect. Next, click on the rendered view, and I'm going to bring up the volumes tab, and I'm going to set the viewport to 0.02, and I'm going to set the render to 0.02 as well. And I'm going to click the black slide on color ramp and set it to about 0.6. Yeah, that's perfect. So as you can see, we're already starting to form clouds, which is nice. And on the noise texture, I'm going to set the detail to 15, crank it up to the max, and I'm going to increase the roughness to about 0.6. And I want there to be more clouds in the sky, so I'm going to increase the scale to about 11. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm just going to decrease the elevation of the sun just a bit more. Okay, that's perfect. Next, I want to increase the thickness of the clouds. So I'm going to change the density to 9. Nice. So we have more of a cloud formation going. With this node set up, you have a lot more control over how you want your clouds to look. If you want a more overcast look, then just click the black color ramp slider and move it more to the left. You can increase the thickness of the plane for more dense clouds, or you can just add a solidify modifier. So I'm going to change this to 9, and it's already giving the clouds a different look. And again, you can just play around with the settings to properly get the look of the clouds how you want it. And another way to create clouds is to use a sphere instead of a plane. So I'm going to call this material cloud 001. Then I'm going to add a sphere, Shift A, add sphere, increase the scale so that it fits around my scene. Press Ctrl A to apply the scale. Go into the shader editor, click this button and select the material we just created called Cloud 001. Now, to make sure we only have clouds showing on the top half of the sphere, I'm going to add a gradient texture, and I'm going to plug the color of the gradient texture into the color of the volume scatter. Now we can see where our clouds will be positioned on the sphere. I want the clouds to appear above the trees, so I'm going to rotate the sphere and put the volume scatter so that it appears above the trees like so. Then I'm going to plug the gradient texture into the density and plug the color ramp back into the color of the volume scatter. I'm going to add a solidify modifier and set the thickness to 20, and I'm going to move the black slider of the color ramp to the left to create thicker clouds, and I'm going to increase the scale of the noise texture to create more clouds, and I'm going to change the view to inside the sphere. And as you can see, if I move the X location, I have control over how low I want my clouds to be. This might come in handy if you don't want to create a super huge plane or ground in your horizon. So that's 2 different ways or methods of creating beautiful skies in Blender. Take care, and I'll see you again in the next video.